What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, they lost belief, people. They don't believe anymore, or they don't trust anymore, should I say. And that's Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn. I believe Eddie Hearn believes in the Phenom, as I refer to him as, in undefeated, newly crowned, unified WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is now 34 wins, no loss, no draw, 30 wins by way of knockout, 27 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Jaron Boots Ennis stopped Amanda Stanionis in the 6th round of their fight last Saturday night and became the unified welterweight world champion. Now, prior to Jaron Boots Ennis fighting Stanionis and prior to him fighting Karen Chugajan, Eddie Hearn claimed to have made offers to the other champions in the division, which was Stanionis, one, the WBO champion, undefeated star boxer Brian Norman Jr., and the WBC Mexican superstar boxer Mario Barrios. Brian Norman is on his way to superstardom, right? And he was reluctant then to make the fight with Brian Norman Jr. And they were pushing for Jaron Boots Ennis to move up to 154 pounds to fight Vergil Ortiz Jr., Mexican superstar, junior middleweight, WBC interim champion, and title contender. A fight that has been in the making since they both was at 147 pounds. But now, I find it very, very interesting. Now, Eddie Hearn at that time, he was very aggressive with trying to make Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz, right? Everybody was. That's the fight that everybody said needed to be made. Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Boots Ennis, okay? Eddie Hearn was saying that it's time for him to move up, right? This was the push. This was the push. This was the play. Suddenly, after the performance against Karen Chugajan, after getting hit by Amanda Stanionis in the fight, right? It seems like they have lost some confidence that Jaron Ennis can beat Vergil Ortiz, because they're no longer talking about Vergil Ortiz now. Now Eddie Hearn is very aggressive with trying to make a fight with Brian Norman, and he's calling out Brian Norman. And he's telling Brian Norman, stop ducking, make the fight. And now he's saying that Brian Norman's going to price himself out, ask for $3 million after Jin Sasaki fight. Brian Norman, if you don't know, in June is going to fight Jin Sasaki in Japan, okay? And he's going to get a hefty penny and payday to do so. And so they know the price, yesterday's price ain't today's price, right? Because they stated that. Now, Brian Norman wanted the fight with Jaron Ennis that was already set to take place in Philly, and he told him the deal that they're offering, he'll take that deal if the fight is not in Philadelphia. If the fight is in Philadelphia, he wants more money, right? It's a unification bout. It's a sacrifice. If I'm going to make this sacrifice, okay, you're going to have to pay me. They didn't want to pay, okay? So they were willing to accept the fight. Now, Eddie Hearn is trying to say that they was asking for $2.2 million, which we know wasn't true. They started the offer him $700,000, and then it got up to 1.5, and Brian Norman and his team was like, listen, you're going to have to give me some serious money if you want me to make this fight happen. Period. Right? And so they was unwilling to budge on that. And they couldn't anyway. So they moved away from the fight. But it's ironic now, right? Because now he's trying to say, because Brian Norman is going to fight Jin Sasaki, and it said that he's going to get over $1 million to fight Jin Sasaki in Japan, okay? So they know yesterday's price ain't today's price. So doing the interview with Sergio Mora tells Eddie Hearn, sweeten the pot, make the fight happen with Brian Norman. So he's trying to say, well, Brian Norman's going to price himself out. Brian Norman's going to ask for now $3 million, right? And he's trying to get Brian Norman to come down on his number. The thing that I find very interesting is, what happened to the Vergil Ortiz fight? Why isn't anybody talking about him versus Vergil Ortiz anymore? Sergio Mora said that they don't believe that Jaron Boots Ennis can beat Vergil Ortiz. He don't believe that Jaron Boots Ennis can beat Vergil Ortiz. And I'm starting to think that Eddie Hearn don't believe that Jaron Ennis can beat Vergil Ortiz. Publicly, he's going to say he can. But privately, I think that he's starting to question it. He's starting to question whether he could beat Vergil Ortiz. Right? And so, with that said, I think now is that I think that Jaron Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. is being pushed by Eddie Hearn and DAZN because Eddie Hearn likes that matchup with Brian Norman Jr. better than he does with Vergil Ortiz. And I'm starting to believe that they believe that that's best to unify the belts. But Jaron Boots Ennis himself is not confident at staying at 147 pounds. Because I believe the weight cut is becoming too much for him. It's beginning to be too much for him. The weight cut is too much for him. And I don't think that he wants to. Now, he says he can easily make the weight. He says the weight, he got a nutritionist, so on and so forth. But it's just showing. It's showing in his face. It's showing in his body language, right? It's starting to show. And so I think now that he satisfied in his brain beating a world champion, because Jaron Ennis, initially he stated he wanted to be undisputed. But I think now what he's doing is he's satisfied in his brain. He's somewhat complacent, right? He's content in his brain now, right? He's like, I did it. I accomplished a specific goal. I'm the unified champion. Do I want to make this sacrifice and stay at 147 pounds? I think he's starting to question that. I'm thinking he's starting to doubt that. Right? And I don't think he's in a rush anymore to become undisputed. But Brian Norman is pressing the envelope, and Eddie Hearn is pressing the envelope. And my thing is, I think that they are now at a point where they're like, the Vergil Ortiz, they're pushing the Brian Norman situation. Why? Hence the reason why Eddie Hearn is now trying to tell the world that he is going to ask for $3+ million, right? They're trying to place the blame on Brian Norman. And again, all of the Vergil Ortiz conversation has went by the wayside. What happened to the Vergil Ortiz conversation? They were steadfast on him fighting Vergil Ortiz. Now Eddie Hearn is confident in making a Brian Norman fight. It's nasty work. Nasty work. But let's see how this unfolds and plays out, man. But that's all I got for y'all. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.